So the new Dawn government have come in, and among the issues they've picked on our table was the issue of the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. And they said they would do it under PPP. They've contracted it, and it's going to cost about over $650 million in reduced scope. First, there's no frontage road. For PF is $700 million with frontage road up to Ndola. In their scope, there's no frontage road. The Luansha Masangano Road, Luansha Fisenge Masangano, will only be rehabilitated. It will not be a new construction, and it will not be a dual carriageway. So even when they are priding themselves that the price is far lower than the PF, it is not true. For $700 million, the PF were going to deliver frontage roads for Ndola Lusaka dual carriageway, and the dual carriageway, the one going to Luansha. In their case, they are not doing that. They're just rehabilitating that road. So, Lorenzo, where is our objection? First of all, we agree that a PPP can be done. The PF had decided that this will be a PPP project.
What was going to be the PF's PPP model for the construction of this road?
Similar. China Jiangxi, we're going to source funding either from Exim Bank or another, and guarantee the payment period using the road. Because remember, you're going to use tolls and user fees from the road, and that was the plan. And so the road was going to be self-financing. The security was the road itself. No payment, no security guarantee, no sovereign guarantee from government. It was going to be a PPP model, and I think the contractor was going to pursue financing from China. In this case, what got us talking, all of us, is that the information that became available from government itself was that a tender process at commercial clause when they signed that agreement in February. We learned that they'll get funding from this is from national pension security scheme, NAPSA, and Workers' Compensation Fund Control Board. And they were going to get up to $400 million from the public pension, and they would source it. An act of parliament, and they are appointed, their boards and management are appointed by the president and his affiliates. So we felt that the pensioners, and there are various examples. NAPSA has built an ultra-modern hotel in Southern Africa. It's in Livingstone. It's called Radisson Hotel Mosotunia. It's a $100 million project built by NAPSA. But the model there, NAPSA is not a contractor. It's not in construction. So NAPSA hired the contractor, Stefanuti of South Africa, the ones that did this airport road from Chelston. I think they've been here. They're doing the Kalabos-Congo road. Stefanuti is well known in Zambia. They're a South African outfit. They picked Stefanuti to do the hotel
in Livingstone.
And they've been paid. They've delivered the hotel within a period of, I think, 1.5 years to 2 years, the hotel is ready. And NAPSA is not in hotel business. So it has gotten an operator to run the hotel, who's Radisson Blu. Radisson Blu is a world-renowned hotelier. They are known all over the world, and they are a prime provider of hotel accommodation. They are running the hotel. The hotel belongs to NAPSA. The revenue is coming to NAPSA. There is a landlord-tenant relationship with NAPSA and Radisson Blu. That is the kind of model we want. NAPSA has built the Livingstone bus terminals, one of the best terminals in this country. It has escalators, it has air replaces for travelers. You feel like you're at an airport. The buses are paying a service. They've gone into partnership with Livingstone City Council, where NAPSA is collecting its money. It has put its own board and its own collector. NAPSA is not in the business of buses and taxis, but they've provided a public utility facility, and they are earning a return of investment on it. So there are various models. NAPSA has shopping malls, and they hire an operator of these shopping malls who then collects rent and pays to NAPSA. There is nothing wrong with the PPP. It's a structure of the PPP where you want NAPSA to give this consortium money. You want Workers' Compensation Fund to give this consortium money. And the consortium, of course, will pay back. And we've seen that is 9% per year. So NAPSA will get some money. NAPSA and Workers' Compensation will get some money. But it's a raw deal for NAPSA and the people of Zambia, because this road is going to raise a lot of money. The statement from the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Charles Milupi, he has stated that government to earn from this road in the period of the concession period of this 25 years, government to earn $1.1 billion in taxes and in revenue sharing mechanism. That sounds like good news. So if government is going to earn $1.1 billion from this road, how much is a contractor making? For me to pay you tax of 15 kwacha, how much have I made? I must have made 100 kwacha. It's similar. So we are saying government should disclose all the details on the table for Zambians to make a proper decision. Further, the minister has announced new roads that he wants to put under PPP. Remember my first objection with this government and with Honorable Milupi in December last year, and we came and discussed it, is he had announced a PPP project for Western roads, which was going to cost $3.5 billion. And when I criticized that concession for, I think, for 25 years and the details of it, they called me all sorts of names, but they've cancelled it. Because the very issues I raised are the very issues they've discovered. Number one, the partner was a wrong partner. It was an NGO. An NGO countries, an NGO is not in commercial activities. And I alerted them, especially that I was High Commissioner in South Africa. I said, I know the person behind, and it's a one-man NGO. He calls himself all these big names, Southern Africa, whatever. But it's a one-man NGO. I know his office. I know him. I've partnered with him in certain activities. He has no capacity to even look for $10,000 before you give him a $3.5 billion project. Two, there's issue of traffic. The trouble with public-private partnerships is that if the traffic is low, government is forced to cover to the contractor the money that he's supposed to raise. So if I do you a road that's not busy, okay, I do a road on PPP for you to your house or to the president's house, but there's no traffic. You, my partner, my public partner, you are supposed to get taxpayers' money and pay me the difference. Because the project and the road should finance the program itself. And this is where we have problems with the new announcement that the minister has made. He says Ndola Sakanya Muflira Road will be under PPP. There's no proven traffic that road can pay for itself. Kapiri, Mkushi, Serenje, Mpika Chinsali Road is one of our busiest roads. That PPP can work. Matumbo Chama, the one he has also announced, can't work. The traffic there, even if you do an anticipation, is low, unless government then will pay the private concessionaire the difference in that traffic risk where you don't have enough traffic volume. Chirundu Lusaka can pay for itself. Lusaka Livingstone can pay for itself. The volume of traffic is very high. So on that road, I challenge the minister, show me the traffic that will pay $3.5 billion, even under a period of 25 years, for those roads. Government must understand there are roads they need to do as a public good. Roads that lead to our farmers, whether they are tar or they are gravel, that is a duty of government to provide such a service. But if you want to engage in PPPs, I don't know how, you have to find mechanism in which they pay themselves. The ministers announced that there will be a PPP project from Mwinilunga to up to Jimbe, through Ikeleng, up to Jimbe to connect to Angola. Brilliant idea, but again, what's your traffic volumes? I know there are copper trucks that come from DRC, from Kipushi, from Solwezi. Again, we have to anticipate beyond the traffic from the copper mines. Can the road pay for themselves? So back to Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. The scope is far lower. The use of AVIC is a matter of concern for us because it appears that AVIC has a new relationship with Ministry of Infrastructure and RDA, because there was a direct bidding in which they were given the Monguli Mulunga Road to tie it. They are running the two concessions, the one for Chingola, Chirilabombwe Kasumbalesa concession that was signed in November. It's a 35-kilometer stretch. AVIC is leading that. And AVIC is also leading this same Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. Again, we are saying, what's a preference for AVIC? We have many local and international contractors.
So Ocean Investments is being used to front the big guy, in this case being...
AVIC is leading all these concessions for Chingola, Chirilabombwe, Kasumbalesa, for Ndola, Lusaka dual carriageway. We here, even the Ndola, Sakanya Mufulira Road, AVIC is leading a concession. I think they've tabled, I don't know if it's an unsolicited bid. All we are saying is, do not fall into the previous traps where certain contractors are preferred. We will accuse you of corruption. What about the other contractors in this country? Why are you picking? Are they the only ones with capacity? No, they are not.
Okay, we're going for a breather at 9:57 Central African time. In 3 minutes, we have news, and then on the other side, we continue interacting right on the program. I'll be able to read your messages. Those of you that have sent in the messages for the first hour. First thing, we start in the second hour pronto. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a tiny bit.
I'm quiet, but you can talk quickly. Okay, thanks. To our audience on social media, we've gone for a break, but there's a lot coming up. You can pose your questions underneath there, and we'll be able to read them. We are discussing many issues. We've just discussed the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway and other PPs upcoming, and we are calling for transparency. We are calling for openness, and we're saying government must publish the concession agreement so that we see what these people have committed for the next 25 years. President Hakainde Hichilema and Mr. Milupi will not be there after 25 years. So we need to know now what they've committed our children to, our future to. We recognize that the roads have to be done. As I opened earlier in my discussion, the roads need to be done. In fact, we have 40,000 kilometers of road that should be done in this country. Our ambition under the PF was to do 8,000 kilometers every 5 years. But you know the funding gap, you know our resource envelope, and we ended up just doing about 3,000 kilometers, and the bulk of it was under project finance. The economic roads can pay for themselves. The PPP model is welcome, but the PPP model should be beneficial to our people, should be beneficial to our country. And the relationship should be equitable with the private partner. It should make his profit, and the Zambian people should benefit. It should be a fair deal. So, please hold on, and that's our discussion today.
So Africa is getting a lion's share, eh?
Yes. No, we have to question that.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this corruption index, the Zambia Bribe Payers Index. The police are still leading as the most corrupt entity.
From the latest index?
Yes, the Zambia Bribe Payers Index, that is the survey that is done by Transparency International.
Okay.
And people pay because they feel that the service will be denied or will be delayed, and they're forced to pay taxes. I think for the police, it's just a roadblocks, undoubtedly.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why RDA is being considered also extremely corrupt. So the Road Development Agency has been cited. And the Ministry of Health. So it's like our people are paying maybe for services, to have their x-rays done, to have their tests done. They have to pay someone. Because why is Ministry of Health topping the chart?
Well, it's quite amazing, eh?
Because these are public services that interact with our people. So it will be passport office, hospitals, clinics, the police on the road. And so if you don't enforce anti-corruption measures, this is where the biggest acts of corruption take place. Of course, our people are interested in the big ones, in tenders and all. But here it is where they interact with corruption, and Ministry of Health is topping the list, RDA and the police. for local suppliers. Just put up an open national tender. An open national tender, the preference in the law is that it should be citizen-owned companies. So if they are doing this fertilizer contract and they put up an open tender, it will not go to United Fertilizer. It will likely go to NCZ, who's a local supplier, yes. So, but if you do a preference, like direct bidding, you will give it to foreign-owned companies that are registered here in Zambia. So Honorable Mlenga Chipokauza, our Minister of Commerce, is saying it's not corruption or interference. It is, Honorable Minister. Put up public processes so that we do not accuse you of corruption. My dear young brother, Honorable Stanley Kakubo, the Minister of Foreign Affairs here, was at Buckingham Palace yesterday and was among other ministers that met King Charles. Kudos, those are good for you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Jack Mwimbu in Parliament said we had instigated, the PF had instigated violence in Kitwe. That's not true. You know, on women's...
Getting to that.
You come to that. Okay, yeah. I'll come and discuss it when it comes
violence
up.
In Kitwe.
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't only in Kitwe.
The Copperbelt. Large parts of the Copperbelt. Quite an eventful one week, like I said. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thanks. Okay, please join in. We are going live now.
All right, we're back and we're loud enough for the second hour, the 15th of March, the year 2023. Time check 10:07 Central African Time. I have Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba running us through to the top of the hour for today's edition of Chatback. Let me get to read some of the comments now that are coming through right on the program. These are two text messages, Ambassador, coming through from Mr. EZ. He says, what is wrong with NAPSA lending for an undertaking which is guaranteed that in an event the road realizes the expected revenues, the borrower can still pay the money plus interest? If NAPSA, being public, as you put it, fails to realize the money invested, like is the case with other public institutions such as councils, National Housing Authority, don't you think NAPSA is spreading the risk by just lending and leave it to the consortium which is in the business of constructing roads? That is one. And then two, he says, what is wrong with using AVIC when PF used the same company for various projects? Don't you think we are able to discuss these matters openly because of the transparency of the New Deal government? Well, the public didn't know what was happening during the PF rule, or is it misrule?
Yeah.
Your comments, first, your comments on these two.
Yeah, so let's start with the first one. Like I said, PPP models are good. You can deliver road. There's nothing, again, we've demonstrated that NAPSA can invest, NAPSA can lend, NAPSA can spread its risk. In fact, that's what is provided for under the law. They can put various eggs in various baskets. But this particular road is a very lucrative road. 20 kwacha only, it earns our country $20 million a year. And that was a trial fee, user fee. Zambia had never done tolls. We didn't have a national tolling project. The contractor will not charge 20 kwacha. And the 20 kwacha has been there since 2017. That is why in all of them, their designs is that the numbers will jump from 4 toll gates. The toll stations will rise to 6 for more revenue. They are putting 2 more new way bridges.
When the price in those 5
yes.
to be higher than anywhere else in the country.
Yes. So, and they're putting in, you only have 1 way bridge at Kapiri. They are adding 2 more way bridges. What does that do? Is bringing revenue. In fact, the feasibility studies that were done in 2015 demonstrated that this road, then in 2015, had capacity to raise $100 million a year. And it's feasible, like I've demonstrated, 20 kwacha since 2017. Even if you just raise it to 100 kwacha and you increase the toll stations, you see how much the money can raise. So why would you like your money and my money, the profits out of it? Because it's your money, you'll be the user, you'll be going on that road and you'll be paying that fee. Why would you like that money repatriated to China? That's my question. Why are you giving the rich people money? Imagine if that money remained in our country. Imagine if you are the local contractor. And I have demonstrated that, yes, NAPSA is not in the business of running roads or construction. That's why I brought out the model from Livingstone by NAPSA. So we can hire AVIC to build the road and pay them after 2 years and they go away. They can go to another project and we can get an operator. Currently, the National Road Fund Agency is the one collecting tolls. And NRIFA already has a relationship with NAPSA to finish the road that were being done. The Kitwe Chingola dual carriageway. There was no money. Money ran out. We borrowed $26 million from NAPSA to finish that road and other roads. And the arrangement is that NRIFA collects from the tolls and pays back NAPSA. There is already an arrangement. So that can be done. AVIC, well, let me not impugn anything against AVIC. They are a good partner. They were a good partner to us in our project financing, in the contractor financing relationship we had. They are renowned contractors. But we've raised these two issues. Is that you are giving a foreign entity to collect money for the next 22 years. You think AVIC will leave that money in this country? And the billions that will be raised. And I started by stating that if government anticipates that, number one, NAPSA will be paid back its money with 9% per annum. And if you calculate, if they get $300 million from NAPSA for 9 years that they've promised to pay back the money, NAPSA will get about $345 million. They will have a $45 million profit on it. Government says in taxes, they will get taxes and revenue sharing $1.1 billion. How much is on the table? It's a lot of money. And why would you like this money for 22 years to go to China? That's our contention. So we are saying restructure the PPP. Either the private partner, the way a PPP works, the public as a utility that they want serviced. You don't have money because of finance gap, like here we're dead distressed, and we have a lot of expenditure to do, especially in our social sector. So you say, okay, we are saving money. Instead of throwing this $700 million on this road, we will provide free education, or we will provide bursaries for university. It's a good thing. But that relationship should also benefit our country. The private party should bring his or her own money. We have various pension funds here. Why isn't AVIC going to the private pensioners like Satunya Regina? We have a lot Mukuba pension. We have a lot of pension funds in. Why are they targeting our public pension funds? So if you want AVIC to raise money locally, let them walk to the bank and borrow from the bank. Why do you want cheap money? And then you don't allow NAPSA to benefit wholly for the pensioners. Because NAPSA, instead of getting 45 million, can get billions of dollars if they run this road. But you'd rather, over a period of 22 years, they're getting about $2 million a year in interest. Why don't they get the billions that will be raised on this road? And they don't have to be contractors. They can hire contractors. They can hire an operator to collect the toll fees. It's as simple as that. If you want this to be a truly... You know why you object? Let me give an example. Lubama Market is a public-private partnership. We condemned it in 2009 because Lusaka City Council gave China Henan to build this market. It's not even a big market. But China Henan is going to collect fees and run that market for 65 years.
That's the one in Kamwala.
The one in Kamwala. It's not even an ultra-modern building. But there is a prime space next to Intercity, right in the heart of Kamwala. And you give a private operator, foreign, for 65 years. That was not a good PPP. It was condemned then in 2003. It was condemned. It was done under Mwanawasa. I remember Mwanawasa saying, no, but this project is coming from Chiluba's government. But that was no objection. Our people objected for them to run for 65 years. They thought it should have been a 10-year lease, 20-year lease. Because even the building that we put up is exploitative to allow such a contractor to then run it for 65 years. The ZRA and Zambia border entity that were given to this entity in 2009 to run Kasumbalesa and Nakonde. It even became an issue of campaigns in 2011, and Mr. Sata promised Zambians that he was going to cancel that deal. And as soon as he came in office, he cancelled it. But however, the operator for the Kasumbalesa ZRA border went to court. I think in there they had clauses for international arbitration, and they won, and they were retained in 2015. And I think they've only cancelled, the contract has only expired, taking into account the 2-3 years that President Sata had chased them. Okay. So they are bad PPPs. So the Lusaka Ndola Dual Carriageway falls in that category of, yes, it's a public, and this is one of them. And again, we caution the PPPs that the Ministry of Infrastructure is proposing. For me, unless they can be supported by adequate traffic, because in a PPP where there is no adequate traffic, government pays those annuities, the differences. And again, you don't want something to masquerade as a PPP, where again our money will be used to cover for the traffic risk.
Okay, let me get to read some more comments. George Masheke says, Mr. Mwamba, I think this issue of AVIC using public funds has been clarified on various platforms. AVIC is borrowing that money from NAPSA as an interest, and NAPSA is therefore engaging with AVIC in a business relationship for profits. What is it you don't understand? If AVIC goes somewhere else to borrow the money, the said money, and NAPSA misses the investment opportunity, what would be the benefit of NAPSA and you in particular in such a scenario? I think you're from responding to that aspect. When you assume that it's cheap money being sourced from NAPSA, instead of from other sources, so to say.
From the bank, it would not be 9%. From private pensioners, it would not be 9%.
So it would be expensive.
And the billions that to be raised, that's our point, is that you are giving these billions to foreign entities.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. George Masheke, I think that aspect has been clarified. Then Joe Ilunga Kaseya says, Ambassador and Brother Lorenzo, good morning. Mwamba, I like your style of politics. It's so mature. Kindly unite as PF. Go to the convention and choose the presidential candidate so that Zambians can start interacting with him before 2026 elections. Kindly explain why the PF youths were sent to Arthur Davis Stadium to cause confusion. All right, so this is a cue now to our events of the week.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's been quite eventful. Let's pick it up from there. From International Women's Day, Youth Day, what really transpired, in your opinion, Ambassador?
So, happy Women's Day to our women. I think it was their day. There's rise in patriarchy where, women dominate everywhere, at office spaces, at home, and everywhere in business. You have more men that have land than women. You have more men that have loans than women. And the day we should commemorate women and support their fight for gender equality, gender participation, and their call to be at a decision-making table. For our young people, they are the majority in our country. They are 68% of young people below the age of 25. And they're up to 80% of young people if you stretch it to 35, 40 years, because these are still considered young people or young men. So these days are very critical days. They are not days to be reduced to a marching ceremony. We are supposed to recognize the contribution of women, with contribution of young people to national development. And if young people are the majority in the country, it means they shoulder the burden of this country. It means the poverty crisis we have affects them more than any other age grouping. If you look at any other crisis we have, even diseases, HIV, AIDS, STDs, again, it affects young people more than any other grouping. If you look at unemployment and youth unemployment, we have a huge youth crisis there because you have young, able people willing to work, educated in many cases, but they do not have a job. And the youth bulge can become a national security. So it's sad that we reduce it to a contest of marching. It should be about debate on the importance of young people and women to national contribution. I would like to congratulate the Patriotic Front. On both days, they came out in huge numbers. It didn't matter which district you looked, the PF turned up in large numbers, adorned in PF colors. They were proud to wear those colors and participate in national colors. Sadly, our friends took it as a political contest. The UPND felt so threatened by the presence of those large numbers of the Patriotic Front. In Kasama, we had such a huge number that the UPND decided to close the gate where the event was taking place at Kasama Girls. The UPND just closed us out when it was our time to enter, and they proceeded to come out and even stone our people. And it was the same situation in Ndola and Kitwe. For Kitwe, it was sad because the president was in Ndola. The president must be a president who was in Kitwe. A president is a president for all citizens. He preaches tolerance. He says he has ended cadarism. What we saw there is totally the opposite. Our members were barred, were stopped, and they were even stoned. They fled into the church at the roundabout there. You saw the videos. And I was saddened to hear the president condemn PF and says, you come here to cause violence, you are closing roads. How is the president making himself a victim? He knows that we prepared to come from those townships to go and march. Not paying lip service to issues of cadarism, thuggery, and political violence. They should arrest that youth. They should arrest the youths that caused the violence in Ndola, in Kasama, and parts of Lusaka where there were some reported clashes. We think that the issues of political violence should be behind us. So for me, those would be my views that the events in Ndola, Kitwe, and Kasama are regrettable. They should not have happened. We're supposed to preach tolerance. We're supposed to preach unity amongst ourselves in diversity. Not all of us can be PF. Not all of us can be UPND. In fact, the majority of voters are not even PF or UPND. They are just Zambians that elect these leaders.
Okay. Let me get to accept a few calls now. I've been giving chance to the text messages more, but let me get to squeeze in a few calls right on the program. 0960-200-490. All right, let me try to position the phone a little bit closer to your receiver so that we can have your viewers listen in as well. You're through to Chatback.
Kanawe samwashibukeni.
Vashimalan Kukitwe, please go ahead.
Vashimalan Mwabombeni. I hope tawa mitobera amaboya amabotu wa umfwa. Mhm. Mwaiminine pesa. Mwaiminine pesa bashimarani ku bantu abale umfu wako. Okay. Mm.
Okay, thank you for coming through, Bashimalan, from the Copperbelt. Let me get one more or two. All right, so here we go with our next caller. You're through to Chatback.
Good morning, comrade.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine.
Kanabe sabarishani.
Yeah, this is Comrade Mukosa.
Comrade Mukosa.
Yeah, calling from Lusaka.
Please go ahead, comrade.
I think, comrade, for me, especially to say over Mwamba that we know that CF right now is behaving like a woman anapokewa chikwati kuli mzaki. Even these events that you are talking about, you will marry day, youth day, the same time chikwati chinasira zeni mwenda kuiven chimozi. Ujana series that ujana pokewa chikwati automatically should want to show that is the wanani poka chikwati. Niriko. That's what you did. Even the people that you are saying were beaten at Kitwe. See the photos you are already more than they are youth. They are old people. Then I was 52 years, 60 years. Just see the photos. They are there all over social media. So, in short, these people that have turned themselves angels just after a year and some months, we have not forgotten what we went through as Zambians. You can speak, you can go on the radio station, but the Zambians have not forgotten. I think if anything, PFOs, you were just to be mute for a while. You see how the new Don government is doing things. It has, the way it has brought back sanity in this country. Even democrats, you are free to go to any radio station, bringing out whatever, even propaganda. No one has been arrested. Even the former president is able to go everywhere and speak whatever he wants. But when someone responds, you cry foul. And coming to the issue of Ojio Carriage Way, you are just ashamed of yourselves. That the new Dawn government has demonstrated that we can fund our own project minus going out to Endotinga Karowa. Like you are doing things that has put our country into a lot of problems because of Karowa Kamena Mnatsira. Now you are ashamed. You are talking about 25 years. There is that assurance of saying in that 25 years, the same road you are complaining, it will be in a good state. Unlike the road that you have been constructed, which is that last 1 year, 6 months, and the report was all over. You are just ashamed. As one of the messages that you read, Mr. Lorenzo, NAPSA go into a business deal with that contractor, and they will get some interest. All the money that they are in to that institution, it will come back. But you, moreover, even if you are, after being lectured by Max Moore at time chasing, you didn't get anything. I don't know why you are eating. You are still adamant on this issue. This time, after being lectured, I thought maybe you got something. I think this is what I had this morning.
Okay, thank you for coming through. All right, how do you respond to the two ambassadors?
So it's very clear. Violence was occasioned. You heard the first caller who was on the scene and said that their numbers were so big. As soon as the president passed, a canter came, and the canter, of UPND cadres that came and stoned. These are criminal elements. The police should just move in and arrest them. It shouldn't be a radio debate. Political violence is a crime, and the police should put a stop to it. The odd people, yes, our leaders do escort both women and men. Kangombe, our MP for Kamfinsa, is our national chairperson for young people. He will be on that group. So it doesn't mean that if it's a day for young people, a mother and father can accompany that child. So that's not near here nor there. The other issues are his opinion. We have a duty to make. I'll continue to appear on radio and push our idea, whether they agree with it or not. Our views are well researched. Our views, our concerns are Zambian concerns. Zambians who surrender this road for 22 years to a foreign entity that will collect taxes, that will collect your toll fees and repatriate it to China. They don't live here. That's a state-owned enterprise from China. Did they have a relationship with the PF? Yes. It was the other way. We're getting loans from China, and China's money come with capital finance. So there is a mutual relationship there. In this case, they're getting money from a poor country and repatriating it back to China. That's where that money should be yours and mine. The pensioner should not be used as just a cheap lender who gives them money and they pay back at 9%. I don't even know if that 9% is good money. How much can that be? They'll pay 100%. And how much will the road raise? And I've given you the figures. If they'll pay in taxes $600 million, what's the gross revenue? If you're paying $600 million in taxes alone, what's your gross revenue? It should tell you how much they will make on this road and how much will go back to China. Yes, we've said NAPSA will be paid, but it's a raw deal. If anyone loves this country, if there is money locally available before NAPSA, NAPSA can hire AVIC to do the road and pay them. AVIC can deliver the road for 2 years and they walk away. NRIFA then can collect billions for NAPSA. This will be security for our pensioners. They will not just be getting a $45 million in a period of 25 years, something that translates to something like maybe $2 million a year. They will get billions of dollars as demonstrated here. There were other events on the Copperbelt, let's not miss them. I'm glad I love this. The president yesterday made it very clear that his government will not support homosexuality. He says there's no room for homosexuality in Zambia. It is very brave for President Hakainde Hichilema to say that a few days before Zambia hosts the Democracy Summit. The Democracy Summit, among the things it promotes are freedoms. And for Abanenso, Abasungu, freedoms include sexual rights, that they promote sexual orientation. So it's very brave for President Hakainde Hichilema a few days before he hosts this conference. The conference is being hosted by the US, Costa Rica, Netherlands, and Zambia. And it will be hosted in these 4 countries. But each location will have local participation. And then there will be a tour by their most senior persons to these 4 countries. And the President Biden will be at State House, and it will be a virtual meeting. But his own Vice President, we are privileged, is coming to Zambia to open the conference. So I love what the President said in Chingola at Bishop Kazila's church. That is a stance of Zambians. Homosexuality offends our religious, cultural, traditional values. It breaks families. It defiles a nation. And our people have rejected this. Now that the president has spoken, I think this is the 3rd time the president is openly speaking about this. The first time was when Finland and Netherlands flew gay flags We raised a storm, and the president went. I think the Attorney General, Mr. Kabesha, had lost, State Council had lost his spouse, and there was a funeral. The president used an opportunity to condemn homosexuality, and he said Zambians will not allow it. We urge the president and these institutions to go a step further. Can you monitor these gay activities? Can you monitor these people that are hosting workshops to promote homosexuality in this country? They are giving tools and skills to our young people how to fight for these gay rights. If homosexuality is illegal in our country, we expect the police to stop those activities. They've opened Facebook pages where they are glamorizing homosexuality. There is no word from any of these government institutions to condemn that, even from the police. We saw the activities that happened at the Lusaka July, a wonderful fashion event that Zambians want to participate in. And it was hijacked by these LGBT activists and homosexuals. Again, we saw a recent past to march against, gender-based, sexual and gender-based violence, because there was a young girl that went to the university teaching hospital and was raped by a guard there. A young girl that had gone to seek medical treatment ended up being a rape victim. A noble cause, but we saw that it was hijacked by homosexuals and gay activists. They wore colors, rainbow colors that promote homosexuality, and they chanted their own rights. We need the president's words should not be empty. The president's word should be matched by action. Who should do the action? It's the police and other entities. So again, I think that was a very, very good move from the president. But there was a sad event before you take the calls. The remarks by the president in reference to his predecessor were so unfortunate. Such words, which I can't even repeat on radio, should not be uttered by the president. There were children in that audience. He was on live television. Families were watching the president with their children and with their family members. And to hear the president utter such words is highly regrettable. I expect no other thing other than an apology from the president. Even if he is annoyed by his predecessor, whatever reports he has received, he should guard himself. He's the father of this country. He's the father of the nation. He's the first family, leads the first family. He shouldn't be caught up in speaking in that language. And the former president has not said he's coming back to politics. He just went to church, where he was received very well. The congregants were happy to see the former president. He hasn't been in public limelight. And they were happy to worship with him. They celebrated him. What is wrong with that? How does that amount to coming back into politics? So it is very regrettable. I think of those two events on the Copperbelt, instead of the president speaking to the pain our people are going through, we haven't resolved the issue of Mopani and KCM. We haven't resolved the economic crisis on the Copperbelt. The youths, the UPND have hijacked the Black Mountain. That is a $5.2 billion asset. They've hijacked that, and the rest of institutions have been excluded. We have legitimate institutions that support emerald mining, base metals. We have institutions that support, there are associations for women. All these institutions have been left in the code, and they've allowed these UPND youths to mine and exclude genuine youth members. So I think those two events for me were regrettable for the president's 7-day visit to the Copperbelt.
Okay. 0960-200-490. That is 0960-200-490, and we'll get you participating. We'll get you participating, calling us on those numbers at 10:39 Central African Time. Here we go with our next caller. You're through to Chatback.
Thank you very much. How are you, Lorenzo? And how are you, Mwamba?
I'm very well, sir. How are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm super. I'm great.
Okay, please give us your name.
This is Mr. Makondo. I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
First Mwamba, I think sometimes just try to be yourself. When you say that the UPND was outnumbered, what media are you following? You saw what happened in Chirabombo. Lorenzo, play that clip for him. Maybe sometimes, they get carried away with some other things. So play that one in Chirabombo. Can you say UPND was outnumbered there? Did you see in Solwezi? Did you see Chirabombo? I can go on and on. You see, and that group which was in Ndola, but from church, can you count those people there to say they are thousands? And in Chile and in Kitwe, where you are saying, I did myself to Chipata, Davis, Padia. Volleyball, tennis, no question. I know Kitwe very well. We know he's a Dutch guy that he was in UPND, don't forget that. And that was a lie. If you look at the roundabout, and where they invest to Davis, that's quite a distance. What were they doing there for roundabout? They wanted to hijack the movement abantu iyo vyari bitasira mwarebe pana propaganda mukwete avena Copperbelt bahiruka kale that's why they rejected you mradi wa propaganda obufi they hijacked you don't want to mbeni mwati muleteka ngombe ushaturi avena zambia ni ngombe they are human beings you provoked the situation. Why is it that wherever Bowman goes there is violence? He went to watch and people were hacked. Somebody died. Kabushi, his seat was nullified. Bakoni Kotina Varandano Kuranda, you are violent. You are not even eligible to stand. And yet, you know, you wasted the people's time. Mukura Kupoti every time. But then, because they said you are violent through your Bowman. And the Bowman was there. He showed his head there. Ndola, and there was violence. What type of a person is he? We saw how we did that in a Kachinda, pulling him out of Karamokuraba Johnson. And then you wanted people to believe you at the end, but you can't even escape your rally. You were locked outside, and you can't even say those were thousands. That's your strong audience. Can you count those as thousands? And you didn't well, you didn't you can be more accommodating that hour. Go to your convention now. Even you yourself there, you are not even secure, Mwamba. You've seen the confusions that you have. Do you think those confusions can take you anywhere? And when you talk of them, do a joke at it with. Avena Copperbelt, you feel Mwebe. Ava, it's over there for ya. The Valefo, you Musebo one. Who is there? Avantino Banship Batanana. It's over there for Valefa, Musebo. But you being our meal, you Musebo. Nishitapani Chavo, Benavadi Sirua, Baramoko, and moreover, where is that $30 million US, which you paid China as an applicant? Where is it? Bring it. You want to go to 750 euro bonds. I did. Move on here. Kumareo line. Amareo line, yes, Mawamia, Makwata Tokoro Shinanguchimo. Mwania design ya brigade karibu manager wa Mariko Sata. Kari kuisa karera ninga. Mwani siro kulipile Kongole Karoba. You defaulted. Why did you default? If surely you are serious and you want to come back, each one siro kulipile Kongole. Wana Kongola Karoba wasiro kulipila. Awa no bapoka kubanki ya Mozambique in lending institution. But it's no matter that you have to do hotel. Do you know the room rate? Do you know how much
Okay, let me have you respond to this call, Ambassador.
Well, it's very difficult to, totally misinformed. I've always stated that people don't understand debt, and you have to understand it, because we had a huge debt in 1990s, $7 billion debt. But we're a small economy. We were $1 billion economy. We were a $1 billion economy. Our debt was unsustainable. This economy is a $26 billion debt, GDP economy. And our foreign debt is $14 billion. Yes, we could be debt distressed, but we are not unsustainable as we were in 1990, where the economy was a $1 billion economy and you have a debt of $7 billion. Chilikwati ni bena, bafola 5,000 kwacha, but inkongole bakwete ni 50,000 kwacha. Because it's 7 times more. Yes, we needed to do the investment. Lusaka, it is easier for me to leave Makeni and come here. Within a period of 30 minutes, I'm here, because the roads have been widened, access has been given. You saw those flyover. Lusaka is a bit safer. You have street lights everywhere. There's been an investment, and it was a long-term investment. For every ngwe that was borrowed, every dollar, every cent that was borrowed, you can put it to a project. You can show the hospital, you can show the school, you can show the bridge, you can show the road. It was good investment. This government has borrowed $2.1 billion in a period of 18 months. They've even borrowed another huge, is it $4.5 billion locally, through government treasury bonds. What can they show for it? Nothing. For the PF, they would show you where the debt was going. About the numbers, I think that's not what we are preaching. It is clear, the pictures show for themselves. And I don't want it to be a chochise. Abulama pictures yakwe, abike pa media yakwe. Never to bulama pictures, tubike pa media, want to basale. You can't fool people. All we are preaching here is tolerance. The UPND should allow the PF to coexist. The perception of criminalizing the PF, they should be deregistered. We've seen those schemes. We've seen people go to Registrar of Society. I think there have been now 3 attempts to deregister the PF. What kind of democracy are you preaching? You are going to host a democracy summit. You have no tolerance. You're promoting autocracy. You're promoting dictatorship. You're promoting corruption. Why should you even host the democracy summit? Do you understand democracy? Democracy. And I've always said, they say, no, the PF did this, the PF did this. The PF were punished by Zambians. Zambians said, we don't want political violence. The UPND is repeating political violence. Zambians says, we don't want corruption. They are doubling the corruption in fertilizer. Wherever you look, there's a huge act of corruption by UPND. Zambians wanted democracy to thrive. They wanted Hichilema not to be arrested for practicing opposition politics. They are arresting us every time. They have not learned anything from what Zambians wanted. Zambians wanted a break from the past. They didn't elect the UPND to come and repeat the mistakes and crimes of the PF. They are bad leaders if they are not learning from it. It doesn't matter what the PF did. The PF received the ultimate punishment. They are out of power by their own acts. And for the PF, they have a duty to learn from their past, accept mistakes, seek forgiveness from those mistakes, build on what they did better. Their programs were very good. They were pro-poor. They brought infrastructure. Tabalera ndafe chisungu na mass speeches wa PF. Vale kula, pale moneka. And this government is going to spend the next 5 years commissioning PF projects. That's how ambitious PF was. But it lost power because of things like cadarism, political violence. The very things that this government is talking about. So the occurrences on the Copperbelt are regrettable. I expected my dear brother, the caller, to condemn, not to justify. Violence should be condemned. It should not be justified. There should be no justification for violence. the police should move in and arrest the perpetrators.
Right. Your concluding remarks, sir, as we grind to a close.
Oh, we're done already.
You can imagine that. We're already done.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity that Chrsitian Voice gave us. Thank you to the callers, those that supported us, and those that offered different opinions. Our core is that things should be done better. There should be tolerance and democracy promoted. We should curb corruption. The Ndola Lusaka geocarriageway should be cancelled, or they should, if they wanted to go under that structure. Because what has occurred is what is called the commercial clause. We haven't done the financial clause. Let them look for private money. If they want a relationship with public funds, that is not their money. Public funds, we have to secure it. In this fashion, we are not securing it properly. I've raised a whistleblowing on AVIC, who was being given every project, and our issue is that there are many contractors and credible contractors that can be given. Government should spread the risk and the opportunities to everyone. Lastly, the economy is biting. Exchange rate today is gone haywire, is at 20.6. The economy is biting. The food and nutritional basket, as shown for a family of 6 in Lusaka, again has gone up. It's 9,000, I think 9,200 or 300 kwacha. Those are the issues that this government should preoccupy themselves in. The quarrel and spending time on rebuking the former president doesn't build unity in this country. It promotes intolerance and insults against our leaders. Both leaders should desist from this scenario. So God bless you. God bless our country. We love you. Let's fight for our country.
Beautiful. That is all we had on the program. Catch me on a Friday for another edition of Chatback. That is from 9 to 11. Enjoy the rest of our programming, and God richly bless you. Okay.
Kasama ile fire iwe wile webo weshi mwamba. Leka experience Olakane webo Mwamba Emmanuel Mose wakasama Wale fire Mwamba Emmanuel Wakasama wakulira Kule fire Mwamba wesu Emmanuel Chipani ni PF Kule fire Mwamba wesu Emmanuel Wakuito mwele Emmanuel Mwamba Mbasaka Emmanuel Wale fire Emmanuel Mwamba Mbasaka Emmanuel Mwamba Emmanuel, Mose wakasama, wale fire Mwamba Emmanuel.